TikTok and WeChat can now continue to operate in the U.S. without worrying about a possible ban. The social media apps were targeted by former President Trump over security concerns because of their ties to China. But President Biden has dropped that Trump-era order that would have banned the apps if they weren't sold to U.S. companies. President Biden has now directed the Commerce Department to conduct an analysis of those apps to see if they're collecting personal data or have connections to Chinese military or intelligence activities. Joining me now, Mark Douglas, CEO and founder of advertising software company MNTN. So maybe we can save them some time here, Mark. Is there any question that they're collecting data?
Well, every app on the internet is collecting data, so there's absolutely no question about that.
So should we worry, though, about what they're collecting and how they're collecting it?
Yeah, I mean, we can look to the rest of the world, ironically, including China. So if you look at countries like Germany and China themselves, they generally have laws and rules that require any data collected on the citizens of those countries be kept in country. China does the same. So the U.S. potentially looking at doing the same, they would actually just be following the lead of other countries. And so it's a very reasonable thing to look at that Trump started and now Biden apparently is continuing, which I think is a good idea.
So what would you say to someone who says, look, what's the big deal? It's a bunch of dancing videos.
Well, you know, when you have that app on, you also have the microphone on that app on. And so, I mean, worst case scenarios, you have the son or daughter of a U.S. senator. And these are, you know, scenarios where, you know, obviously it's almost spy level. But these apps, once turned on, they're recording everything. And so, you know, that's something absolutely to be concerned about and make sure it's not, that information is not being shipped someplace that we don't want to.
Well, that's enough to frighten anyone or get their attention. Is there a pathway through this microphone into something else? And I guess the question is that different from other apps? Because I know there are apps in the U.S. that do the same thing, that have access to your microphone.
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't. Their terms of, I mean, basically their privacy policies and terms of services, and ultimately you as a consumer have to decide whether you trust that company. And then countries can put in laws, again, that require these apps to keep data in country, and then it comes to how those laws are enforced. But, you know, anyone that wants to do something malicious, I mean, it's very, very hard to know that that's actually happening.
I think there is a way, too, to turn the app off, because there were a couple that I had downloaded in a story that I heard about this and was able to turn the mic off on that particular. Who knows if it works, right? What are you giving up? Hey, before we let you go, Nigeria has blocked Twitter after it deleted a tweet from the country's president. And it was seen by many as a veiled threat, Mark, but responding to people now by saying that from Twitter that the access to the free and open internet is an essential human right in modern society. What do you make of this?
Well, I mean, it's basically comes down to the definition of open. If you're Twitter, then closing the internet is done by countries. If you're a consumer of Twitter, then closing the internet is done by Twitter themselves. So I think consumers see it as cynical because Twitter makes that choice, and Twitter doesn't see it as cynical because they're just looking at who can control them. So, I mean, both are right, essentially.
Is it just a matter of not tweeting something that might incite violence?
Well, that's not Twitter's definition. They can make any decision to block anyone at any time, and they have. And so obviously consumers don't think that's fair. And now Twitter is now saying they don't think it's fair to them.
Mark Douglas is the CEO and founder of advertising software company MNTN. Mark, it's good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Take care. President Biden